Okay, so here's the thing. This channel is pretty dead, right? The algorithm, when you have not uploaded consistently on a channel in a while, it assumes it's dead, right? And in some ways that's a little frustrating, but in a lot of ways that's really freeing because it means we can talk about whatever we want. Technically, this is a cosplay channel. Not today! For those of you who have not met me before, hello, my name is Cheyenne Jazz Wise. I am a cosplayer and content creator, but more importantly today, I am a toy collector. And we are going to fill up this new shelf that I got with some of my toys, and we're gonna talk about a news piece that I saw recently that I just kind of wanted to talk about. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about the concept of the kiddult, right? Because in a lot of ways, I'm probably the poster child. I'm sitting here in Barbie pajamas and a JoJo Siwa hair bow right now, right? I'm pretty sure if your average boomer thought about a kiddult, they would think about somebody like me and somebody like my husband. I am a toy collector. I've been collecting toys pretty much my entire adult life, and my husband has also been collecting toys pretty much his entire adult life, to the point where one of the other things that we are absolutely investors in is shelves, right? And I recently got this guy. This is a pink dollhouse shaped shelf. It's really a bookshelf. I saw it and I thought it was so cute, and I've been very on a Barbie kick lately, and it's definitely, it was cheaper to get this than it would have been to put together or to buy a decently in good quality Barbie dream house, at least the ones that I want, maybe someday. But for now, I got this guy. I got it on Amazon super cheap after Christmas. I just put it together. So we're gonna talk about this whole kiddult thing and put some toys up. So I think we're gonna start with some toys that are actually kind of from my childhood, right? So one of the main things that I keep seeing said is that kiddults are adults who are trying to relive their childhoods and relive happier days. They've put a lot of it onto nostalgia, right? And in some ways, I think that is true, right? I am 31 years old and I just bought 1994 Mermaid Barbie. Actually, I can't remember what year this is. That's probably wrong. Just bought a 90s Mermaid Barbie literally a couple of weeks ago because I liked her and because I have a lot of nostalgia for I have a lot of nostalgia for this era of Barbie, right? This is what Barbies looked like when I was growing up, when I was really small, the superstar mold. They're really, really hyper feminine, really, really over the top, and I have always loved them, right? In some ways. But I do think it's worth pointing out, I have to like crane these down to fit in here because this shelf is they just barely fit on it, right? So I have to position them very specifically. Number one, I do think it's important to talk about part of the reason that Barbie is so special and nostalgic to me is because Barbie was special and nostalgic to my mother, right? My mother was born in 1959, the same year that Barbie was originally released. So she grew up with Barbies, playing with Barbies. She learned how to sew, making clothes for Barbies in the 60s, right? Oh, here, we'll show you the Barbies. This is Happy Birthday Barbie. This one's from 1994. I wanted her desperately for my 3rd birthday and I didn't get her, so I bought it for myself, right? So there is an aspect of that. But my mother loved Barbies. Like I said, learned how to sew with Barbies. She has talked in the past to me about how Barbies were her only friend sometimes. And so when she had me, she was really, really excited to be able to have that be something that she was able to share with me. But I don't have very vivid memories of, I had Barbies, I definitely did, and I did play with them, but my memories of Barbies are not of me being super eager to play with them, if that makes sense. I like to dress them, I like to brush their hair, I like to kind of set them up, but I didn't do the thing that a lot of kids do where they put they take their Barbies on adventures, right? That wasn't really my interest. I was always interested in them just in their prettiness and their aesthetic. As you can probably guess from the way that I look right now, I am a hyper feminine woman. I have always been a hyper feminine woman or hyper feminine girl when I was a kid. I have always loved really high femme things, and a lot of the reason that I'm drawn to Barbies, and particularly Barbies from the like mid 80s through the mid 90s, is because they have this sort of camp, high feminine, over the top nature, right? So I think part of it is genuinely just they are something that aesthetically appeals to me. I have always been somebody who has liked hyper feminine aesthetics. I am somebody who is really into like the elegant gothic Lolita community. I really love sewing. I really love pink. I've always been really attracted to that as a thing, right? This hot skating Barbie. I got her on eBay for, I think, $10. And then this one is an ice skating Barbie. I cannot remember what year she's from right now, but maybe we'll balance. Maybe we'll put one skating Barbie on this side. I feel like birthday Barbie has to kind of be the center because she's so big. Yeah, we'll do like that. Okay. We'll do the skating Barbies like that. Yeah, they kind of mirror each other. That makes sense. And then the last one that I have is my Totally Hair Barbie. She's a repro, but I just got her. And she's in such good condition. I'm so happy that I finally have her. This is one that I did not get when I was a kid and that I did really want. So I don't think it's correct to say that there's no correlation between my childhood and collecting toys as an adult, right? There are some dolls that I have a lot of nostalgic fondness for. There are some dolls that are very special to me and that mean a lot to me because I have these feelings of nostalgia. That is absolutely true. But at the same time, not every doll that I have, or not every toy that I have, has that same reason that I'm interested in them, right? Like the next shelf that we're gonna do, I think down here, we're gonna put my LOL OMG dolls and my LOL OMG tweens. These dolls are current. These dolls are on the market right now, right? And I have no nostalgic memory with these. These started coming out a couple of years ago, right? Even one of my other big collections, I have a lot of Monster High dolls and I have a lot of Rainbow High dolls. Neither of those were coming out when I was a kid, right? But the reason that I started getting LOMGs is because I really loved the quality of them. I was really, really interested in their outfits, and their body types are just really cute to me. They're so like, they have these thick little legs. They make me feel real represented. So that's why I started getting these. So I cannot remember the names of most of these, so just fair warning. But I think we're gonna put the older ones in the back and then the tweens in the front, because I have 3 older ones and 3 tweens, so that makes sense to my brain. And then this is one of the roller skating ones. When I started learning how to skate, I had to get any doll that had roller skates, which is why I have this one and also this one. This one's more like a disco roller skate girl, and this one's more like a beachy roller skate girl. They're girlfriends. They're in love. You can't convince me otherwise. I think I'm gonna put her in the middle, because she's also pretty pastel, so I think that way they'll kind of balance. Yeah, that makes sense. So clearly it's not all nostalgia, right? I think sometimes as a culture, we overhype nostalgia. The idea that, oh, everything is nostalgic, everyone is nostalgic for their childhoods. I remember being very nostalgic for other people's childhoods when I was young, right? I grew up with a lot of hand-me-downs, a lot of thrift store toys, a lot of thrifted books and movies and stuff. So I have a lot of nostalgia for childhood ephemera from the 80s that I was not alive for, because they were the things that like my older cousins got too old for, and so they became mine. So we've got more tweens. This one, my husband said looked like me, so I had to get her. And this one has Afro puffs and roller skates. So I had to get her. So I don't disagree that there is some sense of nostalgia to collecting toys. That I don't disagree with necessarily. But I do think that I draw the line at a lot of the time I see this paired with the idea that adults who collect toys or who are into anything that's kind of a youthful pursuit are trying to relive their childhoods. And I think on the one hand, I see where people could get that, right? Because let's be real, being an adult sucks. Life on this planet right now kind of sucks. So I understand the assumption that people want to go back to a time in their life where they were safe and where things were happy. And I had a pretty happy childhood. I did. I wouldn't call it idyllic exactly, but I had a pretty happy childhood. So I definitely have nice feelings about things that I had and liked when I was a kid. But at the same time, I never stopped being interested in toys. I never stopped collecting. I genuinely do not remember ever trying to say that I was too old for dolls. I don't have any memory of saying I was too old for plushies or anything like that. I'll say this, one of my favorite brands of dolls that I have a lot of affection for and a lot of softness for, and a lot of in my collection, are Monster High dolls. The year that Monster High was becoming a thing, I was a freshman in college. And I never stopped. I would just be a grown up, be going to the store, be going to Target for, something that I needed, and then would walk through the toy aisle because I liked it and because it made me happy and because it was always just something that interested me. I think that I take different things out of toys than I did as a child, right? As a kid, they're your friends, they are your companions, they are the kind of characters that go on adventures with you. I definitely had toys that as a child had very distinct personalities for me, and some of them were like reenacting movies I liked and whatever, but I had very specific, like this doll has this attitude and this doll goes on me for these kinds of adventures or goes with me for these kinds of adventures, etc., right? Whereas now I am much more interested in dolls and toys and figures as pieces of art, right? Because at the end of the day, dolls and toys are created by people. They're created by adults, right? And every decision that is made on a doll, every decision that is made on a toy, on a figure, on an action figure, somebody put a lot of thought into and somebody put a lot of design into, right? I didn't get really interested in Barbie until I read a book about Ruth Handler, right? Until I read a book about the process of designing Barbie and the history of Barbie and her careers and how Barbie's careers reflect the places that women were in society, right? I always thought that was really fascinating. That is kind of when Barbie became a real thing for me. Like, I recently got Carol Spencer's book. She was a designer for Barbie specifically for years, and really talks about all of the design choices that went into Barbie and all of the work that went into Barbies in different eras, and I found that really interesting. And a couple of years ago, I read about Kitty Black Perkins, who was an incredibly important designer for Mattel and incredibly important in the depiction of Black Barbies, right? And learning those things made me so much more interested. And then when I was in my 20s, I got really into things like toys by Kid Robot and art toys. I'm a really big fan of Junko Mizuno, and Junko Mizuno did a lot of art toys early in her career. And I think that I appreciate toys much more on that level now. I appreciate them much more on the level of who put this together, the craftsmanship. And it doesn't need to even necessarily be something that's super elaborate, right? It doesn't need to be something as like fancy as like a big collector Barbie. For example, look at this little guy. Look at him. He is one of the Villainous Valentines that Funko did, I think last year. They didn't sell super well, but I think they're super cute. There are a bunch of them. They're based on like old 1950s Valentine's designs. This one's a little lion. My husband got me this for Christmas, and he's gonna go right up here. But he's just so beautifully designed. Like, look at his little face. Look at his little sculpted hair and his little dynamite, and his tail is on fire like he's gonna light the dynamite. I genuinely find this really enjoyable. This is the Figuarts My Melody. My husband also got me this one for Christmas. And she comes with different parts and different heads and different little limbs, so you can put her in all kinds of different poses. And I just think that's super neat, right? This is, obviously My Melody is a character that kids like. This is not a toy for kids. This is a toy for adults. Fig arts are much more for adult collectors, which I also have Kuromi coming. I can't wait for them both to sit up here and be friends. But I think for now, My Melody's gonna go there, and then I have a Gudetama. So I guess all the Sanrios will go up there. And then I think there's another aspect of this that I do want to talk about, which is, I feel like, one, adults collecting toys is not crazy new. I think that millennials in particular are doing it more than generations before us, right? But my mother has Barbies that she has from when she was a kid, and Barbies that she's bought for herself since. I mean, I've bought her some, like I buy them for her for Christmas a lot of the time. And so I think that that's definitely something to be talked about. I think, like, I know people who are much older than me who have rooms full of Star Wars toys. It was less common, it was less accepted for sure, but it happened. And I also think that there is an infantilization of people who collect toys versus people who collect other things. People collect all kinds of things. I collect all kinds of things, right? I think collecting things is a very human impulse. Maybe it comes from like the hunter-gatherer days, but I think it's very normal and very human to see things that you like and that bring you joy and to want to have them around you, right? I know people who collect shoes. I know people who collect fancy purses. I know people who collect Captain America shields. I know people who collect NFTs, right? They're stupid. This is a physical thing. I can hold this pony in my hands, right? So I think I'm beating them. But the idea that because a thing is also enjoyed by children, adults are not allowed to like it. And I have my misgivings with like Disney adults, right? I'm very suspicious of people who make consuming one thing their whole personality. I feel the same way about like Star Wars people. I'm gonna start fights, oh no. If you like Star Wars, you can keep your Star Wars. If you like Disney, you can keep your Disney. But personally, I have misgivings about that. Like, it's not for me. If you're a person that all you do is talk about Disney, I'm probably not gonna have that much to talk to you about, even though I do like some Disney stuff. But they're adults who like a thing. That's not weird. That's not weird. The fact that they only seem to like one thing is the part that I think is weird. As you can tell, I'm rounded. I like to think I'm rounded, right? And I guess for me, another part of it is I don't necessarily view my toys as being, oh, these are my little toys, my friends who I hang out with. I think that I treat them, and my husband treats them, much more like decor almost. We just like them. We like the way that they look. We like a lot of color. We're both very maximalist people. So we like to have things around that bring us joy, right? We also collect Halloween masks. We have a bunch of Halloween masks in our bedroom. I wouldn't say that I necessarily do, but I know people that collect makeup. Not necessarily because they're going to wear all of it on their faces every day, but because they like the packaging. They like the celebrity who makes it. They like having options, right? That doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna use all of it. There are people who collect records. I have a bunch of records. Not that many. I wouldn't say we like actively collect records, but like I have a thing of records over there, and that's the same impulse of just wanting to have things around you that bring you joy. And in our world, I feel, I do have to show you this one. This is a nostalgic one. So this is a little Hello Kitty in a little Easter Bunny outfit. And my grandmother got me this at KB Toys when I was maybe 12. And I've kept her all these years, right? This little guy has come with me from my childhood bedroom to my high school dorm room to my college dorm room to every apartment I have lived in as an adult. So I don't necessarily think of it as something that's from my childhood so much as something that's I've just always had and always kept around, because I like Hello Kitty and I like this little pink rabbit, and I have a lot of really warm memories of shopping with my grandmother and shopping for toys and finding cool old toys at thrift stores, and you know, I just like them. They bring me joy. All right, and then down here in this last quadrant, I think for now I'm gonna keep this, I'm gonna put 3 things on here. It's gonna feel a little barren, but I'm sure I'm gonna end up adding more Barbies once I start, like as I acquire them. There's probably gonna end up being more Barbies on the shelf. But for now, we're gonna fill in this empty space with Powerpuff Girls. So these are actually from the reboot, which I did not love, but I got them at a dollar store. I got them at 99 cents only when they were on like massive clearance. I got them for like $3 a piece. And they're close enough to the original model Powerpuff Girls that I was like, I'm gonna get them. I like them. And I do think it's worth pointing out that a lot of the same people who are dismissive of adults who collect toys are also dismissive of adults who enjoy animation, right? There is absolutely animation from my childhood that has not necessarily stood the test of time. I will absolutely admit that. I'm not gonna act like there was deep meaning in Gummy Bears. I like Gummy Bears, Tummy Gummy, I love him. But I'm not gonna act like Gummy Bears was Shakespeare, right? But at the same time, to assume that animation has to be for children or cannot be for adults is so limiting, right? I think about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio adaptation that came out last year now. And that film was so layered and so full of meaning and made me think a lot and made me think about things like my own mortality in a way that I don't know that any adult drama really has. And I feel like to dismiss that or dismiss an art form, because let's be real, most toys, they're sculptures, right? They are representations a lot of the time of people, not always. They are just as valid an art form in my mind. For me to collect Barbie dolls and toys is not that different to me than somebody collecting art pieces, because to me they are art pieces. They bring me joy, they make me happy. I don't think that it's this super deep, oh, you had this dark, sad childhood and you have to fill that void with all of this stuff, right? Now, I do think it is fair to critique the fact that toy collecting is a very consumptive hobby. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I absolutely have a lot of pieces of plastic in this room. And this is one corner. If I were to show you guys everything in our apartment, let alone my husband's office, it's a lot. But I also view the way that I try to collect things as giving them new life. I do have some new toys, absolutely. Like I said, I have a bunch of Rainbow High dolls over there. I have some Gen 3 Monster High dolls. I do have some new stuff. I have a couple Skeletor dolls. But buying older toys, vintage toys, is giving them a new lease on life, right? These are not vintage. This is a newer Care Bear. I got one of these one day when I was having a bad day, and then I just got a couple more because they are really cute and they're really soft and they're easier to get than vintage Care Bears. It's not that I would never collect vintage Care Bears, trust me. I used to have a couple. The one that I would love to have again, I would love to have Swift-Heart Rabbit. I've always thought Swift-Heart Rabbit was the absolute cutest Care Bears character. I think he's just the little periwinkle bunny with a little heart with wings on his tummy. Are you kidding me? And I think I'm gonna put these guys up here for now. You can probably barely see them, but there's like bookshelves up here. So rather than leaving them empty. This is Togetherness Bear. They put her out during Pride Month. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the Pride Bear. She's just so cute. Look at her. Look at how rainbowy. Oh, they've been doing a bunch of more rainbow bears like this recently. Oh. And then I have Cher Bear, who is my favorite of the like mainline Care Bears because she is purple. This one's a little darker, but she used to be more like a lavender color. And the lollipops, are you kidding me? It's so cute. She also used to have a milkshake I started to say cutie mark. She used to have like a milkshake tummy symbol for a little bit, which I thought was so cute. And then I have birthday bear. Birthday bear, which I got as a gift for my 30th birthday, okay? So, okay. Maybe a little bit of this kiddult thing. I'm not saying that there's nothing there. I'm not saying that there is no reliving of one's childhood, but I guess the main thing that I wanted to really try to impart, I don't know if I've actually succeeded, is just because I like things that are viewed as childish, and just because I like things that are viewed as nostalgic, does not mean that I am not still a competent adult. And this is something that I face a lot in my life because of the way that I tend to present myself, because of the way that I dress and the way that I do my makeup and stuff. Like, again, I'm wearing a JoJo Siwa bow as we speak. I definitely have had people not necessarily assume that I was going to be competent because of the way that I presented myself. And I know when to dress it down. I know when to tone down the like kid core-ness. I'm not gonna go into a job interview with this much blush on my face. But I do think that it is worth talking about that part of the reason that I get treated that way, and that particularly people who collect more feminine leaning toys are treated in kind of an infantilizing way, in a way that I don't feel like men who collect Star Wars toys are. I do think it's rooted at least a little bit in misogyny. I know that because I used to be, I mean, you can probably even see it on this channel, I used to be much more superhero comics focused. I used to be, which I still love superhero comics, don't get me wrong. They still have a place in my heart. My Starfire shrine has grown since the last time I did a video on it. But as I've gotten older, as I've gotten into my 30s, as I've really started to accept the fact that I am drawn to things that are hyper feminine, the more I am treated like a child sometimes. And just because I like childish things or things that are viewed as childish does not mean that I do not have the ability to live my life, right? Does not mean that I do not have the ability to do the things that I need to do as an adult. I have all these, but you know what? My bills are paid. I have all these, but me and my husband are saving for a house at the same time, right? We try to be very mindful about the way that we consume toys. We try to be very mindful about how much we're spending. We have a certain amount that we're allowed to spend on like fun stuff. And for me, that's Barbies and cosplay stuff. But yeah, I don't know how clear this video is gonna be. I didn't script it. I just wanted to sit and talk about how I felt about this and talk about my thoughts on this. If you would like for me to do more videos, either about my toy collection or just more kind of my thoughts on things, feel free to let me know. Because I know this was kind of unstructured and we're trying new things on the channel. But let me know your thoughts, because this is something that I've been kind of grappling with recently. Because on the one hand, I think it's fair to talk about reliving childhoods and to talk about having the things that you wanted as a kid. I think that's totally valid, right? I think that there are people that is the reason that they collect toys and the reason they are interested in toys and cartoons and stuff like that. And I think that's totally valid and respectable if that is the reason that you collect. But I guess the word kiddult kind of raises my hackles a little bit, and I'm kind of trying to work through why. So if you have any thoughts, I would really, really love to hear them. If you would like any more detail about any of my toys, I would really love to talk about them. I also have so many more. I have shelves on shelves on shelves of toys. And I'm thinking about doing a little bit more toy content on here, doing unboxings. I'm making a couple of Barbie inspired outfits this year. So I am thinking about doing some more stuff like that. So if you found this interesting, or if you have any thoughts on this as a topic, please put them in the comments, because this is one that, like I said, I'm kind of trying to work through myself. But I would love your thoughts. If you feel like it, you can subscribe, you can ring the bell, that's a thing. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I'm not your mom. Subscribe if you want. You don't have to. It's not the law. What am I gonna do to you, right? You're out there and I'm in here. I'm filming this in the past. So really, I have no way of stopping you. That got weird. Thank you so much. Just in case nobody has said it today, I am so proud of you. And I will see you next time. All right, bye.